also do a lot of consulting around global community engagement. And I've worked with some of the people on this call to support markets, farmers, to create added value products and distribution and that type of thing.
Oh, thank you. That's very interesting. Questions for her? Anybody?
I just want to say something, Wanda, real quick. I invited Cicely because she has a wealth of knowledge and she is legit for real. So I wanted
Okay.
to bring her on to introduce her to you guys. And she's working with a group of people from Africa that
Okay.
I mean, she's fabulous. So that's why I wanted to introduce and bring her on tonight. And
Well,
I know
thank you.
Prince too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
Prince Neil. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. And thank you, Cicely. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is farming. And we have our very special guest, Prince Neil. He's going to talk to us about I think you have a 16-acre farm, Prince?
14, yeah.
14-acre farm. And
14, yeah.
what that's all about and how we can work with him with that farm. Prince, tell us, take the show.
Well, shalom, everybody. I had no idea I'd be on the phone with a lot of people I knew. So it's amazing how things go around in circles. But yes, I'm a farmer, but we've been farming since we left America. And we have our own farms in Israel. Uh, we feed ourselves, and we sell vegan products all over Israel. And we were the largest distributor of tofu. Many of you, I don't know whether you know tofu, but tofu is made from soybeans. And so we had actually cornered that market, and we had cornered the market with um, value-added products, and from burgers to uh, different types of meals or whatever. And most of you know that we've been vegans for like over close to 60 years. And we had 13 restaurants, 13 vegan restaurants around the world. Two of them in Israel, a couple in California. I had one in Bermuda, um, uh, DC, Atlanta, different parts of Florida. So, as it relates to the vegan market, we actually created the vegan market. Um, and, uh, and, like Fred is talking about sushi, man, we had sushi like almost 40 years ago because since we were vegans, we tried to create everything that we were familiar with and create it in a vegan way so that we could expose people to veganism. So we got the oldest vegan restaurant in America, which is on 75th in Indiana. So, having said that, we're used to feeding ourselves because we're a nation. So, a lot of what I bring to the table is just the experience of being a nation and having to deal with everything that nations have to deal with when they are uh, in development, developing, or having been developed. There are certain things that you have to have. And so, the topic of this particular aspect was supposed to be agriculture.
Culture. Yes.
So the reality is in the name, agriculture. So you're talking about the soil, you're talking about plants and seedlings and all of those things. You're talking about a culture around not just feeding ourselves, but a culture around uh, healthy products and the reality of being healthy as a people. So we um, we're presently. I bought the farm to not just uh, farm food, but to create a food distribution system. So I have a franchising uh, proposal that was in my because I actually started out in Chicago with a $26 million business plan, including the uh, uh, wow, including the what's it called? The anyway, everything that goes with the business plan.
Okay.
And so I got a little bit of traction, but for most people, I was getting calls from hedge funds and all that kind of stuff, because, we haven't been able to wrap our minds around doing products that are of a capital nature, and in the sense that uh, we have to feed ourselves. And the problem is that if we don't feed ourselves, then somebody else is feeding us. And if somebody else is feeding us, they're certainly not going to have the care and concern that we should have for ourselves. And right now, our people are eating third grade, second and third grade food. A lot of them are eating out of the dollar stores and places like that where they can get inferior food, for um, low prices or whatever. But we have a farm here. We've been farming, and for years I've been working to get people to wrap their minds uh, about supporting a farm. And what I've had various experiences because everybody is into the urban gardens and all that kind of stuff, even to the point where they say the gardens are farms, but the gardens are not really farms, they're gardens. And though they may be growing a sufficient amount of food, they're still not actual farms like that. But getting people to wrap their minds around agriculture and culture. Yeah, and the reality of culture is that the agri part is just one aspect because there are all kind of aspects of culture, and but the agriculture is most important because this is how you not just keep yourself alive. This is the methodology that you use to keep yourself healthy. And when there are wars in different places, the first thing the enemies they go and they mess with your agriculture. They take over your farms or they destroy your farms. And when they're taking over over your farms is because they need a food source to feed their armies and all that kind of stuff. This is historical reality, but we don't take farming serious. I'm not saying that none of us do, but a lot of our people don't even factor in farming. As a matter of fact, you ask uh, you ask children where tomatoes come from, they'll tell you at the store, and so they miss the whole process by which they eat a tomato at some particular point, or any food substance, because somebody grew the food. The problem is we eat food and don't know who grows it and don't know where it comes from. And so when we talk about sicknesses and illnesses and all that kind of stuff, if you want to get rid of a people or disable them, you mess with the food source. And that's what happened. Now I'm going to digress just a little to say that now they're trying to enlighten people to the fact that there are what you call forever chemicals in our ecosystem. Now, forever chemicals are chemicals that have an unlimited life shelf, which means they don't go away. And most of these things are toxic. And the interesting thing is that these chemicals have been around uh, for 70, 80 years because the EPA itself convinced farmers across the country to use this substance called sludge. And what sludge is It's a conglomeration of runoffs from farms and different types of factories and all that kind of stuff that and it's laden with all kind of toxic chemicals. But the EPA at one point told the farmers in the country that they could use that as fertilizer. So now what you have is a toxic substance that's not um, it's not only on the farms. People are consuming these toxins every day, and when you go to a Burger King and or one of them places, and they have the package that they wrap the sandwiches in, those sandwiches are coated with forever chemicals. Now, in the last 4, 5 years, they've been warning people about the forever chemicals. Now, the forever chemicals are coming out your faucet because I'm also an environmentalist and I would have to be, I'm dealing with a farm. I have to be critical about the water source. I have to be critical about how we fertilizing the food and everything that has to do with developing plants. And plants uh, uh, are life too, and they need certain things not just to reproduce, but to survive. You know, like people are doing. So we're all basically in the same boat because our biosystems have been totally, how could you say, been destroyed. And so when they're talking about um, global warming, that is not a conspiracy. A lot of the astrological things that are taking place, fires, volcanoes, all of that stuff comes from you can bring you can push the temperature of the plant, but the thing is the planet is alive, like we are alive. So there's some degrees that make us comfortable, whether you're going into the cold or whether you're going into the heat. And so the planet is suffering from that. So it's off balance because we won't take global warming serious enough to want to do something about it because what it's going to take, which is not going to happen, it's going to take a march away from fossil fuels, so what they call fossil fuels, and the the nations of the earth and the leaders of the planet are not, no matter what they say, they're not going away from fossil fuels, which is a dilemma
Why?
because you're
Why
talking
won't they go away? Why?
because
Economic.
they don't care because they don't care anything about life. Now
Okay.
I'm just telling you what I know. They don't
Okay.
care about life. They just care about being in power and being able to do whatever they want to do on the planet. And they don't care who they do it to, if it's negative or whatever, because at a certain point, the mandate of the powers that be on the planet is that they want to get the population uh, of the earth down to down to 500 million. I mean, this is what they're talking about. This is what they've been planning for. And so a food system that kills people, I mean, that's optimum to them. A water that is lead based or toxic chemical based, that's optimum for them because they don't care anything about people. It's hard for people to come to terms with that because you might say, "Well, I can't believe somebody would do that," but that ain't what you're saying. You're saying you wouldn't do it, but
Right.
it's happening, and it's happening all over the planet. So what I am saying, I've been looking for the people who understand how important land is. When you look at land, and as a matter of fact, the statistic is when in the early 1900s, cumulatively, black people had over 5 million acres of land. Right now, it's less than 5%. And because they've been able to take the land and do what they want, trick people out of the land. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So if I bring somebody out to my farm, they may see some food, they may see some shelter, they may see some recreation, some housing, whatever. But the difference between how black people look at land and how white people look at land, which is the reason why white people rule, is because they know how to optimize land. And so I ask everybody, just reminisce and remember the last time you flew into Chicago. Because when you flew into Chicago, especially during the daytime, when you're looking down, when you're going across the city to the airport and you're looking down, everything that's above the ground used to be under the ground. And you could do your own your own forensic science on that in the forensic investigation, but I'm telling you what the reality is, and most people don't want to hear this stuff. So take the scenario. Okay, a brother comes with a farm and he says he wants to feed his people, which is what I've been doing, but I'm working to show people how to optimize land to the extent that if you get enough land, that you're able to control the quality of the water, you're able to control the quality of the food, and indoors you're able to control uh, uh, the atmosphere in the house, because the house is the most destructive aspect to human health, because that is the repository of all the things you bring in the house, the chemicals, and what the clothes are made of, the medicines, and you go on and on and on. And it's the home is the most toxic environment. And so I'm saying, if you're not trying to control all that, you all you're doing is just biding your time until something crazy happens to you, and you getting all these maladies, and you trying to figure out where they come from, but they in the environment. So
Woo!
the agriculture is the antidote to that, but not just growing the food. It's the ability to be able to control your whole environment. But you can't get people to understand this. They just going with the status quo. I mean, some people just tired of whatever and tired of being tired, so they don't want to do nothing, and they don't want to make anything happen that's going what you call rock the boat or whatever. But we should have been rocking the boat the past 460 years,
Yes, you're right.
but we ain't been rocking it. So a
But
lot
come
of
on, let's
people,
rock the boat.
what you say?
Let's rock the boat. Let's rock the boat.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask. Let me give you a scenario. Right. Okay. So we got 60 years of development. So it's things we know from a nationalistic perspective that other people don't know, only because they don't have the experience. But if I'm sitting in my house and I wake up one morning and everybody's trying to cross the street, but the people coming across the street, they're getting hit and they're scared to cross and all of that. Um, so then I come on my house, I'm just like walk across the street like it's nothing. So everybody looking at me, but you just can't look at me. You should come and ask me how I'm able to do that. How'd you get across the street like that? The people don't want to engage in reality. We are not living in reality. And that is the culture. We're not dealing with agriculture. We dealing with the culture of oppression. And so when we say agriculture, it's something we're not really dealing with. And so when we get hyped and we say, okay, uh we got some what you call them, gardens. Gardens are not farms. A farm can do so much more than a garden can do. And if you don't know, then you'll stay status quo and thinking if you put up a garden that you're doing all right. And all I'm saying is they control food all over the place. Matter of fact, we got people out in. I started out in Kankakee. I was there. I moved around, talked to the black farmers, all of that kind of stuff, you know. And I'm saying Kankakee. Now I'm trying to figure out what the other name is. Um.
Pembroke.
Anyway, that particular
Pembroke,
area.
Pembroke,
What'd you say?
Pembroke,
Yeah, Pembroke.
Pembroke.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time out there trying to do projects with farmers and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is that there's a psychosis that exists with our people, period, because they are not living in reality. And I'm saying, well, what about your children? If you're not living in reality, then what's your children supposed to do? You know, and all of these illnesses and all these things that are plaguing us, things that can be prevented if we control our own environment. So I done talked to the congressman, I done talked to everybody. One congressman I was dealing with, we were working with him for almost like 4 or 5 months, and I'm thinking we getting some traction on farming, and then he blurts out one day, "Well, if you ain't in my district, ain't nothing we can do for you." Man, I spent 4 months there. They could have told me that at the outset.
Can I
I'm
ask
more
a
serious.
question? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, who's this?
This is
Obi.
Obi.
Who?
Okay, Obi.
Oh, okay.
Uh, A to Z over there. Can you see that?
Obi A to Z.
The who?
Okay,
His name is
anyway,
Obi A to Z. His show is
His
called
name
A
is.
to Z.
I got a
Okay.
podcast that's called A to Z, Obi. But my
Oh,
question to
okay.
you, my
Okay.
question to you, my question to
You
you,
did what?
can you hear me?
Can you hear him, Prince? Prince Amiel, can you hear him? It looks like his audio might have.
Yeah, he's had some
That.
kind of problem. His screen is on, just have a photo up. Maybe he lost connection for a moment.
Okay, so what was your statement, Obi?
Not a statement. I had a question. I didn't want
Oh,
to. I just wanted to ask the question while he was still giving his dissertation. So I didn't want to say nothing.
I'm
But get
sorry.
him back,
Okay.
and I'll see what he's saying.
Okay, while
Good
he's
evening,
out,
sir.
is that you, Fred?
Yes, I was saying hello to my executive director of Chicago Black Wall Street, Mr. Obi Wordlaw, who picked
Okay,
up the
Fred.
tab.
This is a farm. This is a farm conversation. So I'm just gonna bow and listen to the two farmers who know. And you just got through talking to one. I'm sorry he's no longer on there, but I had a question for him. So Fred, I guess Fred is the next.
Maybe I can answer your question.
Yeah, well, no, you need to tell them who you are and how you relate.
He already did.
Oh,
He
he did.
Yeah. So
Oh, so
ask
I'm
your
ready.
question.
My question is, I use a basketball metaphor. We keep telling each other the problems, and my question to all of us: what is our strategy to fix it? And we keep saying we're coming together to fix it because pretty much, and I draw a circle, so pretty much everything that we touch. Now I realize that agriculture is one of your key components. Without it, we wouldn't be having the existence that we do need to have. But everything we touch has the same thing relationship to me that you and I are not playing with the money, period, and the power. So how do we strategically strategize? So I use a basketball metaphor. When LeBron James can't score, they huddle and fix it. So everybody that's got some issues on what's happening with us, let's have some dialogue and some action on how to fix this. So when I get off the
Okay.
with you all, I want to know how to fix this stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Fred?
Well, okay. Let me start by saying that I have watched the number one black farmer in the state of Illinois, Fred Carter, who Representative Sonia Perdue has made it clear that Black Oak Center is going to be her pet project. And it is no secret that Pembroke, Fred Carter, is the number one black farmer in the state of Illinois. He has, don't repeat this, has received millions of dollars directly from the Pritzker's office, Sonia Perdue in particular. Visit that site. That site in Pembroke, St. Anne's is so iconic on 65 acres that Washington, D.C. wants to send groups to the farm to see how they do it. And Dr. J say, screw them. I don't want them here. Well, in other words, we don't need you to make us whole. Now, my position is there is no culture without agriculture. All of the ills that the African American has been suffering through has to be a direct link to why we don't produce our own food, why we have zero grocery stores, why we operate thousands of black-owned restaurants who they all have one thing in common. None of them buy food from a black farmer. Obi, why do we consistently have churches here in Bronzeville, where I am? They built a $90 million renovation on a church next door to a liquor store. I want to know, what was their budget? All of the members, each and every one who marched their family into the dining room. I don't care if you prayed before or after the food. You know you didn't produce it. I want to see what our black churches budget were to a black farmer like me, like Prince, like Fred. What was the budget? Teresa, what was the budget to your church? Less than 1%. We have to stop ignoring the pink elephant in the room.
We got a question, Fred, from Miss Constant Henry. Constant?
Yes.
You can ask your question. Constant? Okay, maybe she doesn't have one. Okay.
Hear me?
I'm sorry.
Can you guys hear me?
You got a question?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Chris. Okay.
So yeah, my name's Tyshawn Henry.
Oh, Tyshawn. Okay.
All right. The first gentleman that was speaking, that was talking about the farming and things like that, I totally agree. I mean, I agree 100% with what he was saying. The issues that, let's say specifically the black community have as far as their health, I definitely believe has been some tampering and contaminating with the food. One thing that the one gentleman that asked the question on, what is the solution? Okay, now I heard the gentleman speaking about some of the farms and so forth and so on, but what is the solution? Like, I personally know of a black grocery store on the west side of Chicago or close by. I do know of and it's a very large grocery store. What solution do we have for this? Like, Number
plant
one,
or die. That is the solution.
before you answer that question, I do want to interject this. One of the main problems that we do have, the gentleman that started answering the question, he was hinting on it, is an issue with a spiritual battle. He mentioned something about the churches, so forth and so on. Yes, behind all of this food contamination is a spirit of oppression. And yes, that is a focus on the Black community nationwide, even globally. So what can we do to start a contagious type of solution that will cause an immediate change? Because yeah, the things that we have been experiencing has been going on for, let's just say, it was at least within the past 120 years, as far as tampering with our agriculture. So what can we do immediately, is to not only get a solution, but implement the solution and then get everyone supporting it. Now, again,
Well, one thing that you can do right away that's very preferable to all, you can write a $50 or $75 check, and we will send you a CSA. And a CSA is shared agriculture, and we will send you back double that amount in food. So with the CAA, what that does, it gives farmers like Prince and Black farmers, it gives them seed money to plant in the spring. So it doesn't take very much, $50. Um, you can join us by depositing a minimum of $25 in our Black bank, Mr. Greg Brown's Southside Community Savings Bank at 55th and a Dan Ryan. I am building a Black Wall Street debit and credit card. And Obi will be the executive director, along with Ron Carter. He's the chairman. So, but what we can do immediately now is to come here to Brownsville, work with me. I have 5 community gardens right here in Brownsville that needs work.
Okay.
But,
So, all right. So now, from a business.
Now, if you're really serious, a little bit south of where Prince Farm is in Linwood, you can Google it. We have where Obi and Doll Smith bread and butter, Ford Heights. I'm part owner of E Horse Ranch in unincorporated Ford Heights. We have a beautiful 70 acres. Now, we don't specialize in food.
I do have a question, and everything you just said,
yes.
it sounds very simple to participate. How do you help others? How do you help others get established like that? Because basically, and this is just me talking, one of the fastest and easiest ways to cause a revival or a supernatural uproar, outbreak, and change is to recreate yourself in others. So how can you help someone else acquire that land? How can you help someone else get that started? And then you not only have a supporter, but you have an ally. You have someone who is producing and doing. How do you get that going? Because now from a business standpoint, if I was going to give my money, then I want to look for some form of ownership as well, not just sowing, but I want to see I want to see some type of return back on my giving.
Yes. Let me say this right now. The time has gotten away from me. I to be on another conference call at 8:00. At
It's 8
9 o'clock,
o'clock
I'll
now.
be there. I know 8:07 actually. Um, my phone number you can get from Mrs. Carter. I can give it now if you're ready to write. You can call me directly. Right now, this is pre-harvest season. Pro-harvest season. I'm working around the clock. Would you like my phone
Tell them
number?
your number. Tell them your number, Fred.
Well,
708.
I'm driving right now.
Okay, I'll put it in
well,
the chat and I'll send the chat to everybody.
Yeah, and send
So,
and if you have all of our emails, can you email us the information as well too?
I'll email the chat.
Thank you.
oh, okay, now, sir, where are you located in Chicago?
I'm out in the I live physically in a suburban area, but I mainly operate on the west side of Chicago, west side or western suburbs. So
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Anytime you want to join me in taking a tour, I'm available. If you want to go out, and you can start straight away with me. I farm year round, and that's not a problem. Okay?
Absolutely.
Let me take just a moment to introduce Lavette. She's joined
Okay,
us.
I got it on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. She's joining us from the Garfield Park Gold Dome, and I think she's just going to give us a little highlight on the skating party, and then we're going to end.
Hey, I'm not going to keep you guys. Just want to show you that, most of our skating activities are over, but we had a good turnout, and we've had a great concession. This is our skate room, and we had about 150 people to turn out tonight. But I would like to follow up on whatever you guys discussed tonight on the agricultural piece, because I think that is going to be the key to some things that we're going to be doing, especially as I don't know if Frederick is still on the line, but he talked about those microgreens earlier. And Prince, thank you for coming on, and I know that it was a great show. So we'll talk tomorrow, Wanda.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. We'll follow. If there are any questions, call, and I will give you Fred's number or give him your number, and you guys can talk, and he can share more. And the same thing with Prince Asiel. He's both are gone now, and so any last comments? Anybody before I end the show?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
I know my A to Z. I don't know if everybody understands where I'm coming from, but primarily I draw a circle and everything that we touch, farming and everything else that we deal with in terms of our activity of daily living. What is our piece? So now that the new regime is coming in, it's an oligarchy, and I want you all and us to pay attention to that, and not to say keep giving each other information, but also on how we're gonna work within this new system, and how the black people are gonna make sure that we are getting off the economic bottom based on the fact that the country is moving toward an oligarchy. And everybody look that word up.
Look that word up. Auditor?
Oligarchy.
Okay. Well, thank you, Opie.
All right, thank you for listening. But have our politicians and friends, for come out and make sure they come out and give us information on how our money is flowing and where's our piece.
All right. All right. Thank you, Shirley.
What's that word again?
Wanda, I would love for you to text me that information as well, okay? And my information is in the chat for everyone to contact me as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
The word
What's
is
the word again,
oligarchy.
Opie?
Oligarchy. Right. That's what Russia is. Putin is one. Xi Jinping is, they call him something else, but that's another form. So Donald Trump said that when the first day in office, he's going to be the king. So, and then
The
all the people,
oligarch.
oh, let me see how you spell it. Oh, oligarchy. You can do Google and it'll tell you what it is.
Ogopoly.
OC something. That's how I'm bad with spelling. But oligarch.
It's
Okay.
OLIGARCHY, oligarchy.
Oh, okay.
OLI.
And it means ruled by the rich.
Hold on.
Wow. Oh,
Spell it again.
wow.
Spell it again.
It's OLIGARCHY, and it means ruled by the rich.
Wow. Cicely, we're going to have you come back and talk with us about what you do. We didn't have time today, but I want to get you on the schedule.
I need to.
TJ, yeah.
I really do, because I hear a lot of people calling for solutions. And I really happen to know for a fact that we're not the only ones engaging in that. And there are some solutions that are on the ground that are working. And I'd like to be able to discuss those a little bit more in depth.
So you make sure you put your name and number in the chat along with your email so I can get in contact with you and schedule you for a show.
And before you go, I also have a lane. So I don't believe in one lane. I believe in 360 lanes. So I have a suggestion and two also how to help fix this. And the word from my perspective is with action. So the main word I'm using, let's change the message. Change the message.
All
and I'll
right,
explain that when we get next time we're on.
All right, Miss Jean Lockett, welcome to the show. I'm so sorry you got in so late. We're about to end the show, but you want to tell people who you are and what you do? Jean?
I think she's gone.
I think she's muted and she hasn't unmuted herself.
Oh, okay.
There she goes. You want to tell people? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me
Jean?
now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now, what did you ask me? Hey.
Tell people who you are. You got
I am Jean Lockett, and I am the owner of Clean Creations Cleaning Services.
All right. You're going to have to look at the show when I put it out there so you can hear the conversation that we had today. It was really great. So I want to thank you for coming, even though you came late. Thank you anyway. And everybody else, thank you for participating. I hope we all learned something tonight. I know I did. And I'd like to thank you each for coming. Have a great evening.
Peace out.